I guess the main job of the Reserve Bank or the cash rate is keeping their monetary policies to keep the inflation rate between 2 and 3%. That's their target rate. And at the moment, inflation's sitting up at around 7%. So the Reserve Bank has had to increase rates by big margins each month to try and get inflation in check. But it's not just an Australian problem, it's all around the world. US, UK, all the major countries have put their rates up by, some have put them up by bigger margins than the Australian Reserve Bank due to inflation. So it's not just an Australian problem.
Is it working?
It's probably not working too well, but I did read something today that said that I think the last figure that was released, it was 6.8% for the month, down from 7%.
Yeah.
So maybe a slight turn, but I think at the moment it's probably not working because there's a lot of people on low fixed rates that haven't yet been affected by the Reserve Bank cash rate increase. So they haven't felt the pain yet really, but once they do feel the pain, they probably will have to tighten the belt and stop their spending, which will then hopefully translate into inflation coming down.
Sure.
Yeah, so there's a page on our website which describes how the Reserve Bank calculates inflation. So there's a number of different categories that make up the inflation rate. So ranges from fixed assets such as property down to groceries, a basket of goods where the Reserve Bank literally goes and buys a basket of goods and compares it to the figures or to the amount that was spent the last time. So yeah, that's how inflation is made up. In terms of the flow-on effects, so for example, fuel prices have increased, and that leads to higher transport costs.
Yep.
And then that leads to increases in prices for groceries and other things because it costs more to transport the goods. Then you've got natural disasters that we've had in Australia over the last couple of years. We've had flooding in rural zones, so fruit and vegetables, they've been affected by the flooding. There's been fires. Then you've got La Nina flooding the place. So there's a few things that are really impacting the price of groceries. So that has an effect on inflation obviously as well. It'd be a very brave economist to predict where inflation's going because it's so hard to predict with all the many different factors that make it up. So it's if anyone says they know what the answer is or what the future holds, they're probably not going to be 100% correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tricky time at the moment when trying to determine whether you're going to go variable or fixed. So fixed rates are much higher than they were 6 months ago. So at the moment, there are some banks offering fixed rates in the high 4s, but the majority are in the low to mid 5s for an owner-occupied loan, whereas variable is still sitting in the low 4s at this time. So in my opinion, it's probably a little bit late to fix, but if you are worried about the future, what it holds, and you're a bit more on the conservative side, then maybe a fixed rate might be the way to go. But a lot of economists who may be wrong, they are predicting that rates will go up probably some more in 2023, but then potentially start coming down again. So the risk of going for a fixed rate, you might be in a fixed rate in the mid to low or low to mid 5s, and although at some point your variable rate may hit that, it may start coming down also during the fixed period. So it's a gamble either way. Yeah, due to the current uncertainty about rates in particular, a lot of people are opting to go for a fixed rate just because they're worried about their repayments becoming unaffordable. So although they may have to fix at a slightly higher rate than current rates, it just provides some level of certainty for them.